Coming up on this week's news, the trade is launching a major campaign to tackle DIY electrics after a 3-year-old boy dies in a fire. BT axes its plans to turn roadside cabinets into EV chargers, and electrical contractors prepare to head to Westminster to demand action on tool theft. Welcome to Electrical News Weekly in association with Solar Trade Sales, your easy one-stop shop for all things solar. Whether you're listening in the van, on-site or down at the wholesale counter, I'm Joe Robinson and I've been through the best of the electrical industry news to save you the trouble. And if you think you've spotted the 2 words that I've been challenged to slip into this week's show, comment with them below for the chance to win a prize. It really is worth staying on till the end of the show to find out last week's winner. It's taken 134 episodes for this thing to happen, but it finally did. I'm disproportionately excited about it. The trade is launching a major crusade against do-it-yourself wiring this week after a 3-year-old boy died in a fire. The NIC-EIC's Don't Do DIY Electrics campaign comes hot on the heels of a coroner's report into the deaths of 3-year-old Mohammed Esmail and his father Naimat Lawa Esmail. The pair died in a blaze at their Swansea home in July of last year. Coroner Kirsten Heaven has now ruled that the cause of the fire was probably electrical in origin. She said there was evidence that someone had carried out unauthorised electrical works that fell below the standards of a competent electrician. Some of these had been carried out by Naimat Esmail. Swansea Council did not know about the electrical works and so had not authorised them. Investigators found an extension lead had been wired into a socket in the room where the fire started. The NIC-EIC says a YouGov survey it ran found that almost 1 in 3 UK adults has attempted DIY electrical work. Industry observers are blaming the upsurge on the cost of living crisis. The marketing and information blitz will highlight the invisible dangers of unsafe electrical work. It's being rolled out across social media channels, YouTube and Facebook this week. Also lending their weight to the wider awareness operation is Octopus, EDF, E.ON and British Gas. The organisations have teamed up to spread a stark message to householders: stop using extension leads. They point out that larger appliances can be fire threats when used with power strips. Specifically, the group says items that should never be powered via a lead include air fryers, microwaves, toasters, fridges and heaters. It also warns of the dangers of daisy chaining extension leads into other extension leads, which can lead to rapid overheating. One way to avoid overheating cables is to take our free training package on design. We recently released the second part of this series made in association with the Luceco Group, so now you can design a circuit from start to finish. And it seems there might be an urgent need for our viewers to complete that course, as last week's question of the week was taken from it and the results are troubling. The question related to volt drop and asked to convert millivolts to volts, you need to, and the correct answer was to divide by 1,000. However, on YouTube, only 26% of respondents got it right. Meanwhile, over on LinkedIn, for the 3rd week in a row, they beat the competition and 59% of respondents nailed it. Still some room for improvement though, so why not click the link in the show notes and complete that free training module? You won't regret it. In other news, BT has announced that it's scrapping its ambitious plan to turn redundant telecomms cabinets at the side of the road into EV chargers, and it revealed that out of 4,800 units, which it's identified as candidates for conversion last year, only 1 has been completed. The company's sole plug-in point is a repurposed telecoms cabinet in East Lothian in Scotland, and it will now be shut down. The metal containers are traditionally used for broadband and phone cabling, but many have fallen out of use due to changing technology. The BT plan, which was run by a digital startup unit called Etc., would have worked around one of the key problems for charger companies: installing new connections to the electricity network. A BT spokesperson told the Guardian newspaper that the project allowed the company to explore the challenges that many on-street EV drivers are facing with charging. It said it would now look at where it could add most value to the UK EV ecosystem. Its next idea is to use the cabinets instead to provide Wi-Fi connectivity. We'll keep you posted on progress. BT may have given up, but one enterprising firm faced a particularly perplexing power problem and were able to solve it by smuggling an EV charger into post office infrastructure. Northern Irish plug-in point installer Powered EV-NI has managed to conceal a charger inside a postbox. From the Pony Express to adding horsepower to your vehicle, the mail always gets through, doesn't it? The slim ePod unit from Omi is hidden inside the traditional red metal box featuring the Royal Crown. The client is said to be delighted with the discreet solution. Thanks very much to installer Neil McGavick at Powered EV-NI for the heads up on that story. If you've carried out an unusual installation and you'd like a shout out on the news, get in touch. Just email me directly at joe@efix.co.uk. The demand for chargers doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. In fact, the UK saw record electric vehicle sales in 2024, and it's now overtaken Germany to become Europe's biggest market. That's partly because EV brands doled out big discounts to motorists in a bid to hit government targets. Sales of EVs are now 19.6% of all sales, still short of the government's target of 22%. By contrast, Norway looks like it will be the first country in the world to go all electric in sales. Thanks to incentives there, 9 out of 10 new cars are already electric. In fact, Torben Aun, the Norwegian entrepreneur behind the innovative Enua EV charger, revealed to us last week that Norway are pretty much leading the way in all things electrification. He joined friend of the show Nick Tucker off of EV Tower, along with Gordon, Gary and Joe 3PO on last week's eFix TV livestream to talk about his charger and also debate Norwegian versus UK electrical installation methods. It was a brilliant show and well worth a catch-up. You'll find the link in the show notes. Meanwhile, back here in Blighty, anger over the theft of power tools is rising and it looks set to get political. That's because contractors fed up with losing their kit are taking their grievance to Parliament. A group of installers called Trades United is set to hold a rally in Westminster this coming Monday, the 3rd of February. It follows the success of last year's inaugural event. Participants will stage a Go Slow van convoy in Westminster, driving through the area for 2 hours to raise awareness. Organisers say they want to draw the attention of MPs to the continuing problem of tool theft and the resale of stolen goods. They're demanding stricter enforcement of existing theft laws, particularly concerning tools. They want a ban on the sale of power tools at car boot sales and similar markets. Group founder Shoaib Awan says getting a crime reference number for a van break-in is no longer acceptable. He says he doesn't want policies that don't work, but instead the trade needs strict enforcement and a crackdown operation with immediate effect. The rally starts at Brent Cross in North London at 11 a.m. and then heads to Parliament Square for a gathering there at midday. I've popped a link to the group's Instagram account in the show notes. In product news this week, we've been hearing the backstory to the innovative speed cutter. If you're not familiar with it, it's a hole cutter that includes an integral fire collar featuring an incandescent lining. After using the hole cutter to drill through the plasterboard using the drill attachment, the cutter remains in the hole to maintain the fire protection. In the event of a fire, the incandescent material will expand and close off the hole, so there's no need for incandescent mastic to be applied after you run the cables through. Inventor Mark Katz came up with the idea while site manager with a national house builder. Mark noticed repeat problems with the fire stopping after penetrations for electrical, plumbing and other services. The M&E folks were either drilling the holes too big, which means more incandescent material, or too small, which means you can't apply the incandescent material without enlarging the hole and damaging the plasterboard. The speed cutter has classification for EI30. This means it can be used in any 30-minute firewall if it has a 70mm stud and a layer of 12.5mm board on each side. Another innovation helping the trade remain compliant and fast is Whelan's RST round connector. As they're plug and play, they're super fast to install. There are 6-pole to 7-pole connector versions and they're available as barrier seal models. This prevents the spread of moisture through the cable system and means that they can be used in messy conditions. You can also get them in high IP ratings. Gordon used them recently to speed up what would have been a full day's work into a job lasting just 50 minutes. Don't believe him? Take a look at a video he's produced all about the RST's capabilities. The link, as always, is in the show notes. Lighting manufacturer Trilux has unveiled a moisture-proof luminaire whose diffuser and housing is made from 100% recycled plastic. It's aimed at green-minded clients. The diffuser is made of post-industrial polycarbonate, mainly car headlights and computer monitor covers. The housing is manufactured from recycled shredded water bottles. The company says there's a growing demand for products with an environmental backstory like this. The latest JIB handbook is now available. The 2025 edition is the definitive guide to employment matters for JIB members and their operatives. It contains information on the national working rules, grading definitions, industry training schemes, the JIB benefit scheme, and advice on employment law and practice. You can download a PDF from the JIB website. Again, I've popped a link to that in the show notes. Thanks to our good friend and regular contributor Sergio from the Costa del Watford for the heads up on that one. And finally, an update on the crime that shook Skipton and environs. Last week we revealed that criminality had arrived in sleepy Skipton, the Yorkshire home of eFix. A customer in our local fish and chipper decided to help herself to a distinctive light fitting, but a security camera caught her in the act. Within hours of showing the security video in last week's news, that light mysteriously reappeared in the restaurant. It appears that common sense has prevailed, or maybe she's found cod. Either way, police say there will be no further action. They clearly have bigger fish to fry. And finally, a reminder that we're in the market for your stories, your projects, and your recommendations, as we'd like to share them with the wider eFix community. Send us pictures of your installs or let us know if you've come across any new kit that's making your job easier. And just before we get to your favourite bit of the show, where I reveal last week's challenge words and winners, we want to thank our premium partners. We couldn't make the news without you. First up, they're the people who've created the Swiss Army knife of solar inverters, along with all-weather batteries, very much the Boy Scouts of the solar industry. It's SunSync. And speaking of solar, with manufacturing powered by a 250 gigawatt solar PV array, they're literally the greenest test instrument maker in Europe, both physically and ethically. It's KPS. Are you a bit of a control freak? Motor control, that is. If so, with huge stocks and excellent service, check out Crompton Controls. As they said to me in a recent conversation, if we don't have it, then we can build it. And the best thing to come out of Yorkshire since stainless steel, the home of EV Ultra and other groundbreaking and quality products, it's Doncaster Cables. Click the links in the show notes to find out more about these great brands. Big thanks to you all. We really appreciate your ongoing support for the news. If you think you know the words that I've smuggled into this week's show, pop your guess into the comments. We'll take all the correct guesses and select one at random to be the winner of an eFix goodie bag prize. Answers submitted after about lunchtime on the Thursday after release will not be entered into the draw. Now let's reveal the winner of last week's challenge word competition. Last week's words were exfoliate and egregious. And finally, after 134 shows where I've wrestled with my conscience and resisted influencing the genuinely random outcome of selecting a winner, it's happened. We've had our very first randomly selected winner from LinkedIn. It gives me great pleasure to tell you that this week's winner is Stuart Wilson. Excellent work, Stuart. You've made a middle-aged man very happy. Click the link in the show notes to claim your prize. And to anyone watching on LinkedIn, please do get your guesses into the comments of this video. They all go into the prize draw for next week. Thanks for listening to this episode of Electrical News Weekly in association with Solar Trade Sales, your easy one-stop shop for all things solar. Remember to click the link in the show notes to check out their online shop. Make sure you subscribe to receive the next update. Thanks for listening, and until next time, have a great week. Stay safe out there, and remember, there's no such thing as a torque calibrated arm.